Today was the inaugural men's 100 auction, and within the first hour, there was controversy and history. Sunrisers Leeds, an Indian owned franchise, bought Pakistani spinner Abrar Ahmed. Given everything that's been going on about Indian owned teams and Pakistani players, that was a moment. But Haris Rauf, unsold. Shadab Khan, unsold. So, what does that actually tell us? Welcome to Two Half Two Innings Cricket. Today we're breaking down the 100 auction, the big buys, the big misses, and the controversy that's been hanging over the whole thing since Indian ownership has come into the game. Let's get into it. Go on then, boys. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah,
All good.
I think good. Ajay, sorry, you?
Yeah, well, just listen. I'm happy India's World Cup win. Just recovering from that. Still got a bit of lurgy, shouting too much, but yeah, you know what? That's it. We go, and we're waiting for the IPL now to start. But obviously, yeah, a little bit about this 100 auction to talk about between us boys. Yeah. So yeah,
Interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, so this is as I said at the beginning, this is the first time the hundreds have an auction. So, I mean, I assume this is been inspired by the Indian owners.
Yeah, I think so because they never did this kind of auction before. So interesting when I heard that they're doing it. I didn't actually know about this auction. So I was thinking, okay, now they probably definitely is. I think is inspired by IPL
Because there's four teams Indian owned. Well,
Yeah.
IPL Indian owned teams. So we've got Mumbai Indians, London,
Mhm.
and we've got Manchester Super Giants, Sunrisers Leeds. I just assume they're going to be your team.
Sunrisers Leeds. Yeah, it probably might have to be. That's the local Yorkshire team, but yeah, it's causing a bit of
Yeah.
controversy. Yeah, for
And
us
Southern
Indian
Brave,
fans.
and the Southern Brave as well.
I think
So
Southern Brave for you, Amit, is it?
is it? Where are they based? Isn't that London?
It's Southampton, isn't it? Mainly. Yeah.
Oh, my in-laws. All right then.
I think so,
I'll do
yeah.
that to keep them happy. Get some
No, I
brownie
think
points.
I'll be probably be
That's
following MI
that
London now. I think they
that's his
play
better
at
half.
Lords. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So, should we go with the well? I mean, the perceived controversy in terms of Abrar Ahmed going to Sunrisers Leeds for. I mean, the monetary
Yeah.
value is irrelevant, but for 190,000. So he's the first Pakistani player bought by an Indian-owned franchise since 2009, I think. Obviously not for here, but in terms of if you relate it back to the IPL. So is this a landmark moment or is it a calculated PR move to take the heat off?
I don't know actually because I think the ECB they actually came up with an article, I think, with a statement, something, right, that there won't be any discrimination, there won't be anything like that. And then if you see it's only 2 Pakistani players been bought by the franchise, I think.
Yeah.
Shaheen Shah Afridi, he took his name out. He said, "No, I'm not gonna come in." I think that's what I heard. That and then Haris Rauf got unsold, who is one of the premium bowler in T20 franchise leagues. If you see that, he plays everywhere. I mean, quite surprised to see Haris Rauf unsold. But yeah, Abrar Ahmed, I think you can see what the Twitter was going online. On Twitter, I mean, a lot of people in Indian fans are not happy about it.
They're very angry. Yeah, they're
Very
calling for a
angry.
boycott of
Yeah.
Sunrisers Hyderabad now. And
Yeah.
obviously, the timing probably couldn't have been any worse. And now there's a IPL literally looming on us in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, it's kind of come quite a bit of heat on one Kavya Maran, who's the co-owner of Sunrisers Hyderabad. So she's been under the spotlight, and on Twitter, like you said, Rohit, there's been a lot of unfortunate, kind of name dragging and shaming, saying that how could you do this, after the backdrop of the political and geopolitical problems between India and Pakistan, obviously with the whole boycotting situation between Pakistan and India, and the likes of Abrar Ahmed and his kind of gestures as when he celebrates against India. These are things that can really play on the emotions, especially of the Indian fan base. So it was a really tricky waters, I think. But I mean, like you said, Rohit, is it a PR stunt? Is it something to calm the waters? Because obviously the 100, I know Michael Vaughan and other commentators have said, we don't really want too much. This is not another IPL. This is not another Indian owned. kind of competition. This is separate. So why should Pakistani players not be able to play at the 100? So I can understand the argument for
Yeah,
that as
but I
well.
if you see on the other side as well, right? They own hundred
Mm.
percent of the franchise. I think Sunriser Leeds, right? There is, and they own 100% of that franchise, and then they are entitled to make decisions if they didn't want to buy any players. But I think it's up to them, right? And if they bought it, it's up to them as well. So uh, to be honest, I am not too sure where this is going, because it's always gonna be the problem. They already
It
knew
is.
that before they bought
But
the
if you,
franchises. This is Britain, right? So there will be
I mean,
players
there's
coming in. They have to buy those players if they have
yeah.
to.
I mean, for me, there's two things here. One,
Mm.
it's yes, it's not an IPL, but then there's a reason why the ECB have reached out to the IPL owners, because they're trying to recreate that same amazing, product, which is what it is. Just like the Premier
Yeah.
League in England, it's
Yeah.
a product. I was listening to a podcast today with David Dean. Rohit, you're an Arsenal fan. Listen to it. Brilliant on high
Yeah,
performance.
I've actually, it's in my list. Yeah, I would definitely
Really,
be
really good.
watching
You
that.
you'll
Yeah,
really enjoy it, because it's
yeah,
really. But he's obviously one of the people who advocate for the Premier League, and he made it what it is. So again, IPL when it first started into what it is now, look at it. So I'm not saying they're going to be able to recreate that in England, but the ECB surely are hoping that some of that magic dust gets transport, gets shone on the 100, and it becomes a nice revenue stream. So for me, that's one thing. And secondly, is obviously the ECB have made them sign an anti-discrimination charter, I think, or commitment that that there's going to be no, you got to pick players or whatever. But then at the end of the day,
but they,
it's a business, so it's very
yeah,
tough. It's very
yeah.
tough.
That's it.
It's very tough decision to make for the franchises, to be honest, and for ECB, I suppose, as well, because
Yeah.
as a business, up to the business who they want to, hire someone. It's up to them, right?
Who
I
they
mean,
want representing them? Yeah,
who
I
they
mean, to be
want to be
fair, I mean,
represent. Exactly.
Birmingham
Yeah,
Phoenix had
yeah,
Usman Tariq for 140,000,
yeah.
so they were the only two
Mm.
Pakistani players
But then,
sold in the auction. So that one hasn't got really much criticism because I guess that's not an
yeah,
IPL
it's
backed
an IPL franchise. Yeah,
franchise,
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
But
why
there
that's how
was,
interesting. Mhm.
yeah, but there was a question as well, isn't it, Ajay and Amit, that the other franchisee, they didn't buy those players either. So where that lands us then
Yeah, yeah, because there's four
for
non-Indian
non
owned.
IPL franchises, non
Yeah,
Indian owned
there's four non-Indian
franchises.
owned.
Yeah,
Although one of them is kind of an American Indian, so
American
which,
Indian. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
is that the Welsh Fire? I
Southern
think.
Brave.
Yeah,
I think it's
so
Southern Brave. Yeah, yeah,
no, Welsh Fire. I think that one is. So so there's one, but at the end of the day, you said about Haris Rauf, you can't argue with his stats. I think he's got
yeah,
16 wickets in 1,200 matches and
yeah,
economy of 6.8. So it's not as if he's not performing. He's not performed in these
yeah.
conditions. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. I mean, the thing is, like, if you look at your business sense, does that mean every single, if you follow the stance, okay, does that mean every single Indian business owner shouldn't be employing anyone from Pakistan origin? Because in essence, that's what they're saying.
But if you see in Britain, right, and if you see in Britain, a lot of Indian owned companies, right, they
That's what I'm
do.
saying.
Yeah. So what happens there then? do they
Yeah,
do they not hire? Do they hire based on where you're born? But that's discrimination in British
Yeah,
laws, right? So
it is.
yeah, they can't do that. They can't do that.
Also, you got to. I mean, listen, it's a very sensitive subject. We know that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's so there's the reality is there's no right or wrong, because one's perception of right will be the other one's perception of wrong, and there's always two sides to look at something. But I think you just got to go on. Is this a moral ground, or is it just business? If it's just business, then treat it like a business transaction. But then they'll say, well, this is something a little bit more. This is deeper than business. But where do you stop? Are you telling me there's no trade deals happening between India and Pakistan? I don't know. Are there? There must be something.
don't know.
don't know.
Again, I don't know
I
if we're
don't.
veering off
Yeah,
topic a little bit here, going too
yeah,
political between India and Pakistan, but
yeah,
it's obviously, I think for England they just want to base off of merit and skill,
Mm.
and the idea of this the Sunrisers Leeds, acquiring Abrar Ahmed, are there ulterior motives? Let's not speculate. At the end of the day, they've
Mm.
done it. They've bought him for 190,000. There's been other surprise purchases, obviously in this auction as well. There's what 390,000 for a uncapped Surrey player,
Brilliant.
who's gone for quite big, so obviously that's a big payday for him. And then, the likes of Harry Brook, I think he's the highest paid.
Harry Brook
yeah,
is
100
He's
been
players,
retained.
160,000.
he's
Yeah,
been
so
retained, hasn't he?
Yeah,
retained. Yeah. So I mean, this is the thing. Obviously, if you look at the 100
there you
and
go.
you
If you
look at the
see that,
IPL, I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
Let's have
that's
a
a
look on.
fantastic
Oh, well
graphic
done,
there.
Rohit.
Look at that.
yeah.
Oh wow.
James
He's
Cole,
done his
he's
homework
only
today.
21. Yeah.
So yeah,
But I
James
mean, if
Cole
we
390, Jordan
Jordan
Cox
Cox 300k, yeah.
300, Tim Curran. That. I mean, he's brilliant.
Tom
Adil
Curran,
Tom
yeah, his
Rashid,
Curran.
brother.
again, 250, Joe Root 240. So there's some decent buys there. I think what Ajay and I got out of this is we both been blessed with a son each. So I think I'm gonna be pushing my Ari into for 4 weeks, for what, 4 weeks work. If you can get £390,000, son, I'll be proud of you. Come on.
But that's only
390,000 per
for
season.
exactly. That's only for 4 weeks play. It's not only so I think they signed the contract for 3 years, so that's 390k per season for James
That is.
Coles. So that
But
is yeah.
But let's put it into context, though. And again, this compares this to the big beast of IPL. So I think, Rohit, you saying, before we went live, that the cap for the spend for each team was 2.05 million.
Yes.
Yet in India, in the Indian IPL league, the most expensive player in this season, which is due to start soon, was Cameron Green, and he went for 2.09 million.
9 million.
So
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
single player in the
Yeah.
IPL has gone
Yeah.
Yeah.
higher than the budget
Yeah.
of each of a team in the 100. So
So
it just
so
shows
Amit,
the beast.
yeah, it's funny that you're saying that because I literally pulled up some finance stats between the IPL and the 100, and obviously you got to bear in mind, the BCCI and IPL
Yeah,
versus the 100 and the products of the two, the longevity of how the IPL has been going for longer than the 100. But if you look at the valuation for the league, the 100 is estimated at around about $1 billion,
yes,
a pound, sorry, and Indian Premier League is estimated at about $18.5 billion at the moment, so 13.6 billion pounds. If you look to the men's salary cap, like you said, it's 2 million per team in the 100. It's 11.4 million pound per
And that is
team
a
in the IPL.
big IPL is a big brand, guys. IPL
So
is not like
oh no,
IPL is one
listen,
of the most successful brand out there in the world. If we say
and
NBA and football, Premier League,
yeah,
IPL is massive.
if we look to the team valuation, the highest team valuation for is the London Spirit with a team valuation of about 300 million. The Gujarat Titans probably has the most highest valuation of 975 million.
There you go.
So
wow,
that's almost
Yeah.
three
three
times.
three
The
Yeah.
times
women's
as well.
salary
Yeah,
cap as well for women's, because obviously it's quite important to address on the women's side of it as well, and how India are making steps into trying to make obviously the franchise more appealing for women. 880k per team for the women's salary cap in the 100, and 1.15 million for the women's salary cap for the
There you
IPL.
go.
So again,
There you
just
go.
to show, it's not just the men's, also the women's. And also, I don't know if you boys knew there was an ESPN Cricket Info awards going on as well. So they were giving awards out to different players and different teams regarding on how well they played over the 2025 season. And a lot of the Indian women's team got a lot of accolades and awards, obviously because of their
well,
World Cup
they won the
triumphs.
World
Yeah, they
Cup
won the
triumph.
cup
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
so
But
Smithy Mandana, and obviously with
yeah,
Deepthi Gill and Jamima Rodriguez. So again, these are going to be players who are going to lit up the World Cup that's going to be coming to England as well in June and July. So it's a fantastic period for cricket, and obviously I think the 100, can only grow and grow further on if they look to expand
I think
their, you know,
this is why ECB went with IPL owners, because they wanted
yeah,
to inject some money in to make
yeah,
it a brand. I mean, it won't be as big as IPL because IPL is being watched by billion of people, if you see that. But at least it will be somewhere, and they needed that money. They needed the injection in the 100 and in the ECB as well, and with the franchise cricket. But if you see James Cole, if you see he's the highest sold player, right, 390k a season. He's only 21. He's not like you said, I mean, he's an uncapped player, but it's a big risk and a big trust as well. If he's been successful, if he gets into English team, he can be a star.
But then don't you think that because it's a 3-year retention clause that they've kind of created this kind of bubble, and it
Yeah.
may explain why some of the well-established players have gone for lesser money. Like for example, I think Gus Atkinson. I know he's mainly in the test arena, but he went for like 70,000. You know, there's some others as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Joe Root, Ollie Pope went for a minimum price as well. I think he didn't get any counter bids. So I think it's sending a message to the younger generation for people like my Aryan and Ajay's Raghav. So it's
Yeah. But
boys, get your pads on and or
yeah.
you ball.
But we have this as well now. We created this. So Harry Brook is actually the most expensive player because the only he's the retained player, so that's why he's not in the auction. But as for auction, it was James Cole. But Harry Brook is the highest paid player among everyone, 460k a season. And
Well,
then
he's
you can
England's
see,
captain, so you kind of expect that, wouldn't you?
yeah, and then he's good as well, so you can imagine that. But we don't have any other information on the other retained players. I don't think they disclosed it yet. But if you
Josh
see, there are a lot
Butler's
of players like
he's one of them
Adil
as well.
Rashid is number 5, Joe Root is 6,
Yo,
Dan Lawrence is 8,
if you look at
and
Mumbai Indians
Abrar is
London,
11th.
Jason Roy is only on 31,000.
Yeah,
And
Jason Roy is only on 31,000 exactly.
Ollie Pope as well. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I said
Ollie
Ollie
Pop
Pope,
as
he's
well.
got
Yeah,
minimum,
look at that.
yeah.
Ollie Pop as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right, obviously. So
Yeah.
what does that kind of mean for the strategy? Are they kind of trying to create like an IPL style, where we spend big on young players and
Yeah, I
kind of
think
get
that's
the
what they want.
headlines and get the
Yeah.
shop,
I think that's what it is. Remember, we've touched on this already, but I think bringing the IPL owners in will bring, as I said, a strategy,
Yeah.
a certain strategy that they've done in India, and obviously the talent pool in India is probably is a bit bigger, just on basically because they've got a population of 1 billion versus 70 million to play with, so naturally the talent pool is going to be bigger, but saying that though, there's he's going to unearth some talent here, but I suppose the big question is then by these kind of figures, uncapped 21-year-old going for 390, is that going to put more pressure on the red ball test cricket? Are they again going to be channeling children, or will the next generation be kind of focused on these big salaries for such a short period of time?
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. That's exactly what it looks like even for the Indian national team. You look at the red ball in India, who really cares about the Ranji Trophy anymore
Yeah.
or the
Cricket is changing, boys. Cricket is
it's
changing.
evolving. It's
It's-
moving at a fast pace, day by
Yeah.
day, year by
Yeah.
year.
That's why
I
we're
mean-
getting more. Sorry, that's why we're getting more results in Test cricket as well because matches are finishing in 3 days.
Exactly.
No
And
one
not
is
the
going to buy
quality-
the 5th day ticket now or
Ticket
4th day
anymore,
ticket
yeah,
because
exactly.
never know.
And if you look at the ICC as a whole, I mean, look how many ICC tournaments are now between now and obviously in 2031. We've got a World Cup next year. We've got then the other T20 World Cup. Then we've got an Olympic World Cup. Well, Olympic Games happening, and then there's I think there's another tournament happening. So there's ICC events every year as well. So the game's evolving now, where people want to see more sixes, more fours, the shorter version of the game. T20's taking over. ODIs. There's even going to probably be a conundrum where we think, oh no, should ODIs drop to 40 overs? So that people don't want to spend the whole day seeing a 50-over game. So this, yeah, you're right. I mean,
I love 50 over game. I love 50
yeah,
over.
but you know what? For the new generation, I mean, that's why the 100 was created
probably-
because even
yeah.
this generation can't even watch 20 overs. They want to watch 100
know what-
balls. There might
but
be
you know what it
80
is, though,
ball
Jay?
games or 60 ball games in the future when my Raga turns 16.
Yeah, but
So-
as if you know what it is genuinely. I mean, again, this is getting a bit deep. I think it's just the way society's evolved now because people just have such
Short
short
attention
attention
span.
spans. You think about it. They look at a short, they look at a TikTok. If there's anything longer than 90 seconds, they just swipe past it. So and IPL has done that. It's such a. I mean, it's still 3-4 hours long, but I'm sorry, the T20 game is still, or the 100 is still going to be 3-4 hours long, but it's not 8 hours. 50 over, or it's not 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
for me, I enjoy IPL. I enjoy T20 game. I enjoy on television because it's so short. But 50 over and Test match, I enjoy watching. I prefer watching live because you get to absorb the atmosphere.
whole day you sit there, enjoy
whole day.
yourself,
Literally,
have some
you go for a
samosas.
wee.
Ajay, you can have some
You go
paneer
for-
whole day.
You go to the toilet and you miss 5 overs in T20.
Yeah.
It's,
But I think there's another thing with T20 as well, right? The matches start like 6:30, 7. Even I remember in
Yeah.
England as well when there is another tournament in England, isn't it, in English cricket?
So you got the
T20.
Vitality Blast.
Yeah,
the
Vitality
T20
Blast, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we used to watch that after we finished our work at 5, half 5. We went to Oval and watched the T20. It was brilliant. Have drinks, enjoy your evening. It was sun. We know we get sun till 10 o'clock anyway, half 9, 10. So
Very
it was
rare that you get
perfect.
sun.
It was perfect evening after work on Thursday night. This is what T20 is selling because people and grounds are full. Grounds are actually full. So this is why I'm saying this is cricket is changing. 100. There is a
But you gotta
T10
move with
league
the
in
times.
UAE, right? So yeah, with times is
I mean,
changing. But I
you
wanna
can't,
Yeah.
if you don't move forward, you become like the dinosaur,
Yeah.
extinct. you know, at the end of the day, you know, they need to look at revenue streams and getting kids, you know, the next generation, boys and girls, into the game, whatever format, you know, and hopefully, you know, if they become purists, then you know the test game is the ultimate. But you know, getting them into the cricket, getting into the sport is the first thing.
Mm.
Yeah. But I think if you're going back to the auction as well, because they can only buy 4 overseas players in 100. So that's another constraint there. I think this is why most of those foreign players didn't get sold, because they can only have 4 overseas players.
Yeah.
That's another constraint. So, but if we see that the teams for 100, I don't know which team is actually strong. I think the whole
team's got the strongest team.
I got no idea. I think every bloody team is strong. If you see Jacob Bethel in Birmingham,
Southern Brave look good.
Southern Brave. I mean,
good.
Southern Brave and Oval
Oh, that's my team.
Invincibles. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, did they rename Oval Invincibles as well? Did they rename them?
Yeah, they're
That's
MI
MI London, I think, isn't it?
Is that London Spirits? Yeah. MI
No.
London. There's MI London, obviously, and then there's London Spirit. So
Yeah, I think
they're
that's
the ones.
MI London. Yeah.
Mm.
MI London.
Oh, Jeff
Trent
Archer, Southern Brave. Who else they got? Jamie Smith.
Yeah, I think they are very strong as well. Sam Curran, Will Jacks, Rashid Khan, Nicholas Pooran, Tom Curran, Vince, Trent Bolt, Jason.
Oh, that's
I think
MI London.
MI London, they're pretty strong as well. And Southern Brave, I think they always Archer, Smith, Stern, Stubbs, Adil Rashid in there as well. Yeah.
Chris
Jordan. Yeah.
Manchester Supergiants have got like Joss Butler, Henrik Klaassen, Aidan Markham. And they've got Tim Seifert, obviously from New Zealand. Yes, yeah, so
I think it'll be interesting. It's an interesting
4,
summer. 100 this time. Yeah, some good teams in there. Wow.
Good.
And then if you see that,
who's your favorite for the title?
Sunrisers Leeds, Harry Brook in there, Cars there, Marsh there, Alice is there, and then Ryan Rickleton, Crawley, Topley. I think they're a strong team as well. If you see that on paper,
it's a good squad.
It's a good mix. Yeah, it's a good mix.
Yeah, Trent Rockets, Sam Bill. Oh, Trent. So Sam Billings went to Trent Rockets. Okay. But he was Oval Invincibles captain, isn't he? And they've been winning the 100 for like kind of every year. So yeah. Ooh, interesting, boys. Interesting. Yeah.
Good.
That's a hard one to call. I think.
Hard one to call. So
I'm going for my Southern Brave, whatever they're called. Southampton to do the job.
I'll probably go for my team will be MI London now. I can go and watch it. That's the closest one.
I'm a bit disdained about Sunrisers Leeds. I'm not too happy about this Abrar Ahmed acquisition, so I might have to go for Manchester. Might have to switch to the Manchester
Birmingham.
boys.
No, Manchester boys. Oh yeah, you can. Yeah. Ahmed, you're not going for Birmingham.
There's a Birmingham team, is there?
There's a Birmingham Phoenix.
There's a Birmingham Phoenix.
They've got Osman Tariq.
Yeah, Jacob Bethel, the best one.
I've got to stick with the local boys. I watched the Birmingham Phoenix play in the Vitality Blast.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's good, nice family atmosphere.
Yeah, it is. Especially the final days, isn't it? Yeah.
Right then, boys. That's a nice quick rundown of the men's hundreds. A bit of controversy. We'll see how that pans out, but you know, there's some big names on the lists and some uncapped players as well. I'm sure there'll be some stars created, but it adds for some excitement. And luckily, it finishes just after the Football World Cup, so it keeps the sport momentum going. So, unfortunately, our poor wives who don't like football or cricket, they're going to have a long-suffering summer of sport again. No break this year.
It'll be see you in the autumn, missus. See you later.
But what a great summer. What a great summer we are looking forward to.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, then, well, till the next time. Look forward to catching up with you soon, boys. Please take care. Do like, subscribe. Big shout out to our sponsor, Synaptech, and their description of what services they provide is available underneath. Take care.